Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome all to the Nityam Bhagavata session. Today we will hear the nectar from His Grace Radha Raman Prabhu from Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 2. Prabhuji, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradha. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha. Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Nangeti Gingyat Kripata Muhammade Paramanandam Advam Shri Guru Dipataram Shri Chaitanya Ishwar. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 2.
Do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Prabhu.
I do. No problem.
I'm reading from the book here. अतएव राजन उरुगार्हमेधा. अथैव राजन उरुगार्हमेधा. वित्तान विद्योर्विजृम्भितेषु. वित्तान विद्योर्विजृम्भितेषु. न वेदवादेषु हि तत्त्ववाद. न वेदवादेषु हि तत्त्ववाद. प्रायेण शुद्धो न चकास्ति साधुः. प्रायेण शुद्धो न चकास्ति साधुः. तथैव राजन्नुरुगार्हमेध. वित्तान विद्योर्विजृम्भितेषु. न वेदवादेषु हि तत्त्ववाद. प्रायेण शुद्धो नु चकास्ति साधु. तथैव राजन्नुरुगार्हमेध. वित्तान विद्योर्विजृम्भितेषु. न वेदवादेषु हि तत्त्ववाद. प्रायेण शुद्धो नु चकास्ति साधु. Word for word and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Tatha, therefore. eva indeed. Rajan, O king, uru garha medha. Rituals related to material household life. Vittana vidya, in knowledge that expands. Uru, very greatly. Vijrimbhiteshu, among those interested. Na, not. Vedavadeshu, who speak the version of the Vedas. He, indeed. Tattvavadaha, the spiritual science. Prayena, almost always. Shuddha, free from all contaminated activities. Nu, indeed. Chakasti appear. Sadhuhu, a person who is advanced in devotional service. Translation. My dear king, talks of the relationship between the master and the servant, the king and the subject, and so forth, are simply talks about material activities. People interested in material activities which are expounded in the Vedas are intent on performing material sacrifices and placing faith in their material activities. For such people, spiritual advancement is definitely not manifest. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, two words are significant: Vedavada and Tattvavada. According to Bhagavad Gita, those who are simply attached to the Vedas and who do not understand the purpose of the Vedas or the Vedanta Sutra are called Vedavada Rathaha. Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham Pravadantya Vipaschitaha. Vedavada Ratha Partha Nanyad Astiti Vadinaha. Kamatmana Swarga Para Janma Karma Phala Pradam Kriya Vishesha Bahulam Bhogaishvarya Gatim Prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to a heavenly planet, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there is nothing more than this. The Vedavada followers of the Vedas are generally inclined to karma kanda, the performance of sacrifice according to the Vedic injunctions. They are thereby promoted to higher planetary systems. They generally practice the Chaturmasya system. Akshayamha vai Chaturmasya yajinaha sukratam bhavati. One who performs the Chaturmasya yajna becomes pious. By becoming pious, one may be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Urdvam gacchanti satvasthaha. Some of the followers of the Vedas are attached to karma kanda, to fruitive activities of the Vedas, in order to be promoted to a higher standard of life. Others argue that is not the purpose of the Vedas. Tat yataiveha karma jitaha lokakshiyate. Evam utra punya jitaha lokakshiyate. In this world, someone may become very highly elevated by taking birth in an aristocratic family, by being well educated, beautiful, or very rich. These are the gifts for pious activities enacted in the past life. However, these will be finished when the stock of pious activity is finished. If we become attached to pious activities, we may get these various worldly facilities in the next life and may take birth in the heavenly planets. But all this will eventually be finished. Shine punya martya lokam vishanti. When the stock of pious activity is finished, one again has to come to the martya loka. According to the Vedic injunctions, the performance of pious activity is not really the objective of the Vedas. The objective of the Vedas is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedeshcha sarvair ahameva vedya. The objective of the Vedas is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are Vedavadis are not actually advanced in knowledge, and those who are followers of Jnana Kanda, Brahman understanding, are also not perfect. However, when one comes to the platform of Upasana and accepts the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes perfect. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. In the Vedas, the worship of different demigods and the performance of sacrifice are certainly mentioned, but such worship is inferior because the worshippers do not know the ultimate goal is Vishnu. Nate vitu svartagatim hi Vishnu. When one comes to the platform of Vishnu Aradhanam or Bhakti Yoga, one has attained the perfection of life. Otherwise, as indicated in the Bhagavad Gita, one is not a Tattvavadi but a Vedavadi, a blind follower of the Vedic injunctions. A Vedavadi cannot be purified from material contamination unless he becomes a Tattvavadi. That is one who knows Tattva, the absolute truth. Tattva is also experienced in three features: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Even after coming to the platform of understanding Tattva, one must worship Bhagavan, Vishnu and his expansions, or one is not yet perfect. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many births, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna. The conclusion is that unintelligent men with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand Bhagavan, Brahman, or Paramatma. But after studying the Vedas and attaining the understanding of the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is supposed to be on the platform of perfect knowledge. Om Ajnana Tivinantasya Jnanan Janasharakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaye Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasandubhye Vacha Vanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we are discussing this conversation between Jada Bharata and Rahuguna, King Rahuguna. So in the previous chapter, in the 10th chapter, King Rahuguna, he chastises Jada Bharata, who was the carrier of the palanquin, and such words were not suitable for a great sage. And of course, later then he praises him. So Jada Bharata then speaks in response in this chapter. And actually the summary of this thing given by Prabhupada is a little nice. So I'll just start with that and then we'll go into our discussion. In this chapter, the Brahmana Jada Bharata instructs Maharaj Rahuguna in detail. He tells the king, you are not very experienced, yet you pose yourself as a learned person because you are very proud of your knowledge. Actually, a person who's on the transcendental platform does not care for social behavior that sacrifices spiritual advancement. Social behavior comes with the jurisdiction of, within the jurisdiction of karma kata, material benefit. No one can spiritually advance by such activities. The conditioned soul is always overpowered by the modes of material nature, and consequently, he is simply concerned with material benefits and auspicious and inauspicious material things. In other words, the mind, which is the leader of the senses, is absorbed in material activities, life after life. So in this chapter, he talks about in the 11th chapter that the mind is the cause of samsara and that it has many transformations and that by engaging it in bhakti, one can attain liberation. That is the summary of this chapter. Now coming to this verse. So Maharaj, so the Brahmana first started in the first verse saying, you're speaking like a very experienced man. Usually when the world runs on conversations. Everyone wants to have a conversation. Man is a social animal. We come together to discuss conversations, to discuss something. People love to talk. The Bhagavatam itself is an entire conversation. The Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, right? It's Bhagavatam is between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadev Goswami, or Shaunaka Rishis and Sutta Goswami, or Vidura and Maitreya, Uddhava and Krishna. Here, Jadabharata and Rahuguna. So like that, it's a continuous conversation. Usually, people come together, statistically higher people, the percentage, come to talk about how to advance materially, material development, material advancement. Actually, Prabhupada says nowadays advancement means advancement in sense gratification. And for all this kind of talk, you can see this on YouTube and all these other things. All these politicians are highly qualified lawyers and accountants and MBAs and engineers, and they all come. They talk very sophisticated, very high funder language, but it is of no use to the eternal soul or the purpose of life. So even Arjuna and Krishna, when they were talking, Krishna tells the same thing what Rahugana is, Jadabharata is saying here. Ashotchanan vasochastam pragnavadamscha. You're talking like a pragnavadamscha bhashas. Katasu na katasumsha nanu sochanti panditaha. But this is not how a pandita talks. You are talking very sophisticated. You are talking very hi-fi. You are talking as though you're a pragnavada. Here also he's saying you're talking all these things, but it is of no use. Because traditionally, see, there are two kinds of people. One desiring material advancement and another desiring spiritual advancement. So if someone is desiring spiritual advancement, that means it is reducing material activities. Both are inversely proportional, right? So traditionally, people, when they desired sense gratification, they were called karmis. And they would go to the Karma Kanda section of the Shastra. They would at least go to Shastra. And they were called karmis. So I usually say, even several thousands of years ago, these karmis, they were also being dhoti and chadar or kurta, whatever. Nowadays, karmi dress means jeans pant and all these things. So that's how the language has changed. But anyway, so the Vedavadas, these Karma Kanda people, traditional sense gratification was what? It was to go to higher planetary systems. Unlike today, traditional today's sense gratification means go to America, go to England, go to Australia, basically go outside the country of India and do all that sense gratification. Whereas traditionally, Shastras allowed sense gratification, but in a regulated way. You can go to higher planets, and people would desire sun, higher planets, or something or the other. See, the Shastra is divided, as you know, into Shruti and Smriti. In Shrutis itself, there are 3 divisions of the Vedas. So, a little mathematical thing here. Karma Kanda is the first section, and that has about 86,000 mantras or verses, you can say. Then there's the Jnana Kanda, which covers all the Upanishads and all. That has about 4,000 shlokas. Then there's the Upasana Kanda, which contains about 10,000 shlokas also. Upasana Kanda has various kinds of upasanas, even for the demigods and also even for the Supreme Lord. So about 100,000 verses all combined. And the Jnana Kanda section actually falls at the end of the Vedas. And that was further clarified as the Jnana Kanda, which is Upanishads and all this, there's the end. And then that was further clarified as Vedanta, because the Anta of the Veda, end of the Vedas, and that was clarified as Brahma Sutras, the Vedanta Sutras. So traditionally, if you say I am engaged in the study of Vedanta, it means Brahma Sutra and even the Upanishads and anything which covers the Jnana Kanda. All that is called the study of Vedanta. The Jnana Kanda, as I said, is covered, contains the 108 Upanishads and then the Brahma Sutras. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking to Arjuna, and there he tells him, Neha Vikramanashosti Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya, even little you do, it will cause you great benefit, along this path. Then he tells a very important verse, which Prabhupada took as his life and soul. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha purunandana. So you must be focused on the goal. Bahushaka, don't get, Bahushaka means so much branched in these Vedas, like he's talking about here. Bahushaka hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayina. Don't get distracted by Bahushaka, aspiring for many, many phalas, svarga, good wife, good spouse, wealth, etc., etc. Don't get, Prabhupada uses the word many branched. So what happens when there are many branched? They are not resolute. Prabhupada uses the word, they are irresolute. So then Arjuna thinks, you are talking, I have to be about no Bahushaka, I have to be resolute. But you are the one in the Vedas. You have given all these different karma kanda, this one upasana kanda, worship of this, worship of that, you get this, you are the one who have given all this in Shastra. As you know, Vedas are not composed actually. It is apaurushaya. Shastras are apaurushaya. Literally, it is not composed by anyone. It is not even composed by the Supreme Lord. It has existed eternally. Just like the Supreme Lord exists eternally. Our Jivatma is existing eternally. Like that, these Vedic texts are existing eternally. They are apaurushaya, it's called. It's a big topic. It is not composed, written by anyone. So that's why it's free of defects, free of mistakes, free of cheating propensities, free of illusion. And they don't have the 4 defects which we have. So because it's apaurushaya, you are the one who have given all these things. So you are telling now reject it. See, actually, karma is divided into 3. Nitya karma, nityam naimitikam kamyam, karmam trividham uchyate, comes in Mahabharata. Karma is divided into 3. Nitya karma. You have your daily activities according to your swadharma. According to your varnashrama position, traditionally you have your nitya karma. Not only according to your swadharma, even like brushing teeth, having bath, cleanliness, simple worship of the Lord. All these are all nitya karmas, daily karma activities that we need to do. And then for Brahmana, the 3 upper varnas, they have to do their sandhya and all these things. So that's part of the nitya karma. Then there is naimitika karma. Prabhupada talks about this in Karmanye Vadikaraste, in that shloka, I think, has regular activities, emergency activities, something like he uses. Anyway, naimitika karma is conditional karma. You have to do only on certain occasions, like Shrad. Then on Amavasya, some people have to offer Tarpana. So all these kinds of things. These are called naimitika karma. Then there is Kamya karma. Allowed sense gratification. Allowed. So the Shastras allow for sense gratification, but at the same time, it slowly purifies the person if they do sense gratification through Shastra. But what happens is it takes a very, 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 very bahunam, janmanam, ante bahunam of many, many, many births. Compared to today's sense gratification, which only entangles us further and further in papa karma, and it does not even, it takes away, so it only is sending us to lower and lower degraded species of life. Because today's sense gratification is not even within the context of the Nitya karma, Kamya karma, and Naimitya karma. So there was this allowed sense gratification. I want a wife. I want to go to Swargaloka. I will do one Jyotishtoma yaga. So I will do one Homa. I will do one sacrifice. And then I will go in my next life. Unlike today, we have to work very hard, go to US embassy and all this. So that was the system of sense. So he says, yes, it is given. That time he says, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. But these people, they get attracted by all these flowery things of the Vedas. Pravadantyavi Paschitaha Vedavada Ratha Partha Nanyada. So he says, yeah, I have given. But what is the phala for this? Janma karma phala pradam. Repeated birth and death. It keeps giving janma and karma. What will you do? You'll go to higher planet. When you finish all your punya, Dhamma, you'll fall down in this again Martya Loka. Again, you'll go up. It's like a giant wheel. Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Punaravartino Jana. So this Yamimam, so getting attracted by all these Veda Vadas. In the Shastra, it is given, I'm following Shastra. So all these things, what it does, it only increases our, in a way, the punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. It increases traditionally our thing. So what happens is, in this process, our sense gratification increases. And when sense gratification increases, bhoga ishwarya prasaktana taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadho na vidiyate. So when we are attracted to bhoga, we are attracted to aishwarya, what happens? Samadho na vidiyate. We do not get resolute determination at all. That's why he says, Nishtraigunya bhavarjuna, traigunya vishaya veda. You forget. Stop engaging in all these things. Just stop all this. Just go beyond traigunya vishaya veda, nishkai traigunya bhavarjuna. Nirdando nitya sattvasto niryoga kshema atmavan. So you don't get attracted by this bhoga ishwarya prasaktana. So why should we not get attracted by this bhoga ishwarya prasaktana? Just because samadho na vidiyate? There is more reasons for that. Because even in Kunti Stuti, what are the stumbling blocks that do not let one surrender to the Supreme Lords? Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribihi, Edamana, Matapuman. Naivaratya, so in that shloka it says, so traditionally, if one wants to surrender to the Supreme Lord, they have to give up Janma. They have to not desire Janma. When I said good birth, they have to not desire Aishwarya, opulence, Shruta, Shribihi, wealth, high material education, and or even high Vedic education, or even Shri, beauty, and all these things. So beauty, desiring for opposite gender, beauty, great birth, all this only develops arrogance. These four make us advance in material life, not spiritual life. So even after coming to the process of bhakti, if we only desire any of these things, so it is just, an external show it becomes. See, Krishna cannot be fooled. You all know that. Krishna cannot be fooled. We can make a show. We can make an external show of surrender. But he rewards us according to our inclination, not according to our external show. We may express so many things. We may talk like a pure devotee. We may talk like this. We may talk. But Supreme Lord cannot be fooled. We can fool other people in the movement, society, in the public, but we cannot. If we desire any of these things, basically, even after coming to the process, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribi, good birth, then unfortunately, your advancement in spiritual life will be blocked or slowed down, basically. Then we will, because these things, as we start comparing ourselves to our counterparts. We think that if we do this, we get added beauty in our life. No, but the beauty is in surrender. The more you surrender, the more you're better. The more you're beautiful, the more you are happier. So that's why these are the 4 stumbling blocks. So if we earn all, but however, for some people, it comes on its own. They don't desire at all. It comes on its own, like who? Ambarish Maharaj. Did he desire after all this Janma, Ishwarish? No, it came, but he was a pure devotee. He was never attached to it. For Prahlada, for Dhruva, I mean, Dhruva, okay, he desired, but when he saw the Supreme Lord, what did he say? He said, oh my God, he asked for the greatest richness in this whole material universe, even above Brahma, and that he compared to a broken piece of glass. So imagine us running after, small things, running after stock market for a few lakhs, or this one, that, whatever, investments and this and that. So for some of them, it comes. So sometimes, some devotees ask me, or I have experienced also, they ask this question. I have seen, that if I get high degrees, high Janma, Ishwara, Shruta, Shri Bihi, then people will listen to me. Then if I'm in such a position and if I preach, then people will listen to me even more. And no previous Acharya has ever said like that. Rupa Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, all these great Goswamis had a lot of wealth. Sanatan Goswami had a touchstone which could turn anything into gold. He threw it in the trash. He didn't say, I will use that touchstone, become rich, and then I will preach, people listen to me, I can make the whole world Krishna conscious. No, he never thought like that. We should always follow in the footsteps of our previous acharyas. We should see how they thought, did they think like this. So for some people it comes, and for whoever it comes, if they use it in the service of the Lord, that is great. Without any personal ambition, without any personal motive. But if they use that in their own service, then they will get entangled. They will get entangled. So that is very dangerous. This is why we have to, so when we, and as the punya karma goes away, what happens then? Then everything is lost. Then we'll also become rotten, or we'll get degraded slowly. So because we have some punya karma, there are many kinds of punyas. We can build roads, dig wells, take care of, anathas or people who serve the poor. All these are small kinds of punya, but the highest punya is Shravanatam Swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. That is the highest punya. Why? Because in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Brahma Samhita, the Bhagavad Gita especially, Krishna says in the 4th chapter, after the discussion on Tadvidhi Pranipatena, that is text number 34, Tadvidhi Pranipatena, Pariprashnena Sevaya. So when you go to a spiritual master, when you go to a person to engage in Tadvidhi Pranipatena, Upadekshanti Te Jnanam, when you get that Upadekshanti Te Jnana, after you serve and all this, what happens is, then the advantage of the knowledge you derive from a spiritual master is discussed in 35, 36. Then the Yajnatvana Punar Moham, you'll never be thrown into illusion. Apiche Dasi Papebhyaha, the advantage of knowledge is when you will be able to cross over Sarvam Jnana Plavena Vrijinam Santarishyasi. Sarvebhya Papakritamaha. You'll be able to cross the ocean of miseries. Then what happened? Yatai Dhamso Samsiddho Agnihi. Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. Jnana Agni Sarva Karmani. All the karmas. Sarva Karmani. Jnana Agni. By the fire of knowledge, what will happen to all your karmas? Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. All your karmas will get burned. But for this, one has to attain Bhagavata knowledge, Bhagavad Gita knowledge, the knowledge of Hare Krishna mantra. See, even to chant Hare Krishna, we need to learn properly. If we didn't know, would we know about offensive chanting? Would we know about offenseless chanting? No, we would never know. That's why if we don't hear, then we will chant. Instead of chanting in between, we'll be chatting. Or instead of chanting, we'll be watching some YouTube video and chant together, or watching TV and chant along. No, that's all offensive chanting. So when we hear from superiors how to chant, so we are getting the knowledge. Then Jnanagni Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. So very important. That's why, or else we will suffer our karmas. Many people sometimes, they suffer their karmas even after coming to the process. That's because they're not applying the process correctly. And then they'll go blame Krishna. I'm chanting so much. Why are you doing this to me? I'm eating only prasada. So we can't blame Krishna. It's our own karmas. We are suffering. So Brahma Samhita also says, yes, tvindra gopa matavendra mahosva karma bandhanu rupa phala bhajana matanoti karmani. Again, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So this is yes, tvindra gopam. So in this, Saraswati Thakur translate, by karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam, by the process of bhakti bhajam, engaged in devotional service, karmani, all the karmas get destroyed, nirdahati, just through this process. But what about yastvindra gopa matavendra mahosva karma, bandhanu rupa phala bhajana matanoti. But for all those who are engaged, even for Atav Indra, for the king of heaven, Indra Gopam Atavendram. Indra Gopa is actually a small red insect. It's given in the book here, the Brahma Samhita. Indra Gopa, there is one insect. It's sometimes sits on grass, I've heard. From that ant to Indra, to the highest Devata also, they all have to suffer karma. They have to enjoy the phala bhajana matanoti. Bandhanurupa, they're all bondage, under the bondage, according to, they're all according, bandhanurupa, according to, they're in bondage, according to the phala bhajana matanoti, the reactions of enjoying and suffering. So this is why if we apply the process that way, then our karmas will get burnt in such a way that it will be favorable for our increase in devotional service. We should not get entangled by Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. We should not hanker for those. We should hanker for Bhakti. There's a beautiful verse in the 10th canto, first chapter, where Parikshit Maharaj is discussing with Shukadev Goswami how we want to hear, but who to hear from. Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamana Bhavaushadaj, the medicine, Shrotra Manobhirama, Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat, Uman Virajyeta Vina Pashubhnat. That Nivritta Tarshai, Nivritta, released from Tarshai, lust or material activities. Upagiyamanat, from such a person, when we Upagiyamanat hear, or which is described or sung by such a person, the Krishna Katha, Uttama Shloka, about Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat, about that Uttama Shloka means who the Supreme Lord is, because he is glorified with the choicest shlokas, Gunanuvadat, describing such activities. Upagiyamana, when you hear that is described or sung, Giyamana, sung, then that becomes Bhava Aushada. That is the right medicine for material disease. And when that person sings that medicine, what do we have to? Shrotra, the process of oral reception, hearing, Manaha, the subject matter for the mind. Because this chapter is describing actually that the mind is the cause of samsara. Manashashtani Indriyani, that mana is one of the most difficult sense to control. Because we see we can surrender our body, but mind is very difficult to surrender. Mind takes time to surrender. Bodily surrender is what you just get beads, you get a change in name, you wear kantimala, this, tilak, this, thing. That is bodily surrender. But mind may be thinking of Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribihi. I want to be richer than that person. I want to be richer than my neighbor. I want a better car. I want a better this. That's why we have to constantly hear Krishna Katha from Nivrit. This is the only medicine. And from who to hear? Nivritta Tarshay. They should be free from lust, material activities. And there are two kinds of sense gratification. Bodily sense gratification, mental subtle sense gratification. When the bodily sense gratification is there, what do we need? Kanchana and Kamini, or basically wealth and physical relationship of some sort with the opposite gender. That is mainly bodily sense gratification. And subtle sense gratification is desiring recognition, wanting recognition. I'm this, I'm that. I want to be the most famous preacher. I want to be the most famous book distributor. My name, or I want to be the most famous industrialist. My name should come in all the newspapers. I should be so famous. I should be, desiring. And one who jumps over these two is Shukadev Goswami to Paramahamsa, Srila Prabhupada, all these are great acharyas. They all have crossed over these two sets. It's very difficult to cross over these two. When you cross over bodily, then we start wearing orange dress, then subtle sense gratification takes over. What? I want fame, I want recognition, I want this, I want that. And to do that, to attain the sense gratification, everybody is trying to defeat someone else. It's just a competition situation, the dog bite situation. Competition. And that also gets triggered by envy. So if you know the Narottam Das Thakur song, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, all this Kama can be used in Krishna's service, Lobha can be used in Krishna's service, Mada, Matsarya, everything except envy. Envy can never be used in Krishna's service. So that's why we should hear. So if you see, when we engage, if we don't hear Srila Prabhupada lectures or any constant lectures, what happens is our mind speaks to us, saying, it's okay, go do this, it's okay, it's okay. That's why we should constantly be hearing at least once a day. If you hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture once a day at least, what half an hour his lectures are. He never gave some 10-hour lecture, 6-hour lecture, 4-hour lecture, nothing. His lectures were only half an hour to 45 minutes, most of them. You can see all the recordings. And he would pack it up with so much realization. So, he's a Paramahamsa, he's Krishna speaking through him. So, it will really help us come out of the desire, hankering for Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribihi. Because Srila Prabhupada is not a Vedavada, as discussed in this verse. He's a Paramahamsa. He knows such Paramahamsas, Nivritta Tarshai. They've come to the platform and they know Vedesha Sarvair Ahameva Vedya. Because if we don't, then we also know Vedeshu Durlabeshu, we cannot attain the Supreme Lord. Krishna has given such a big thing. Vedeshu Durlaba Madurlama Matma Bhakto Govinda Madri Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So they know Tattva. What is that Tattva? It talks in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kenanoy, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. One who knows Krishna Tattva. And what is that Tattva is discussed here also. Vedavada and Tattvavada. One who knows, realized and experienced Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Vadanti Tattvavidas. Vadanti say, what is Tattvavida? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Vadanti Tattvavidas. Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam, about the Advaya Jnana Tattva. Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. That the non-dual thing, Advaya Jnana Tattva is that he is experienced in 3 features, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. And when one understands that, and that you can understand through Bhagavata. Because the Bhagavatam is the highest Purana, is the most ripened fruit among all these Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Vedanta, of all those things, of all knowledge that is available on this planet or universe. This Bhagavata is the ripened fruit, which is discussing and clarifying all these various Vedic literatures and saying that this Tattva is the ripened fruit. And even after coming to this platform, one should worship Bhagavan, which is what Prabhupada talks in this purport. So the conclusion is that unintelligent men with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand Bhagavan, Brahman or Paramatma, even after studying the Vedas. Why? Because they are after Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktana, they are after Janma Ishwarya Shuta Shribihi. So we should not go after that, all those things. We should go after, either we go after that or we go after the Supreme Lord. So even if we go after the Supreme Lord, we should know what are stumbling blocks and not get distracted. And for that, we have to do Nivritta Tarshai Upagiyamana Bhava Aushadha Shotra Manobhirama. Listen, hear from a person who's free from any kind of material hankering, whether it's subtle or gross. And once we do that, then we get the Bhava Aushadha, the Aushadhi, to come out of this this leather bag consciousness or this bodily consciousness. Because see, this bodily consciousness, as long as we have attraction to the body, as you know, the most important thing for anyone and everyone on this planet is their own body, their own life, their own health. So as long as we have attraction for this, we will always be selfish. And to be selfless, we have to come out of this body consciousness and be in Krishna consciousness. For that, Nivritta Tashe Rupagiyamana Bhava Aushadash, hear from such a great person. So I'm requesting you all listen to Prabhupada lecture every day, half an hour, and that will really help you be situated in proper Krishna consciousness and not get distracted by material consciousness, which is disturbing us throughout the day, 24 hours from all sides. Okay, I'll conclude here. Any questions, any comments, anything you wish to discuss, please open.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Radha. A wonderful class. And especially the last punching line was actually, at least we should read here Srila Prabhupada's classes. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. I think the lines are open. Devotees can just unmute and have the questions, comments, or inputs. Can somebody try unmuting?
Yes, Prabhu, we can.
Okay, ma'am. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
A very heavy subject, Prabhu, today.
Hare Krishna. You have to keep hearing. Only then slowly that desire for Janma, Ishvara, Shruta, Shribi, everything comes down. It's not like it comes in one day. It goes off in one day.
Yes.
You're after 8.4 million lives. How can it go in 8 days? Okay, anyone? Nothing? Then we can conclude then.
Yes, Ravi. We conclude Vaishnava pranams. One shakal patarubhisha prabhasa
Passing to be
Vaishnava Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Devotees will meet tomorrow again at the same time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.